Okay, guys, wanted to freaking share this half an hour routine. I usually do about an hour and a half to 2 hours after dinner. Tonight that was about 9 p.m. and it's very relaxing, just mostly isometric workout to, get a little freaking collagen synthesis going on in those freaking fingertips, you know what I'm saying? I'm just making the forearms, the hands, and even like the hips, man. I'm kind of like, irradiating tension throughout my body. Now, I am kind of doing an interesting trick here, which is parasympathetic breathing between every set. Let me explain this further to get into this. So I start on my 14 millimeter hangboard piece. Get a nice stretch, kind of turn around, try to reach the ground, come up on my big toes. There's the radiation I'm talking about. Bridging the hips, getting tension throughout the entire body, pulling somewhat hard for a little bit, then getting right into freaking 3D breathing. Uh, Deep diaphragmatic breathing. And I'm trying to breathe into the front of my body, the back of my body, and the side of my body. So 3 inhalations and exhalations. And, always inhale through the nose deeply, and then I'll do a little trick where I'll do one more inhale, one more quick little inhale at the top of each breath, and attempt to expand my diaphragm further. Then I'll exhale slowly and deeply out of the mouth. And I'm doing two different hangs, as you can see. One is a little more horizontal and one's a little more vertical. Getting into like I don't know, 30-degree-ish lock-off position. Um, that's not that important. My arm is mostly, I would say, passive. There's some, again, some tension radiating through my arm, but not like really, curling my biceps or anything. Mostly focused on what my hips and the back of my shoulders, my lats, and of course my fingertips are doing here. Now there's not a ton of tension through the elbow here. It's mostly focusing on the back of the shoulders in particular, and fingertips and hips, as I've already said. Now on this hang, I stay flat-footed. There's that shoulder and hip position. You can see me kind of setting up all these contractions the way I want to set them up. And it's very brief, maybe like 10 seconds of contact, and maybe like 4 of those seconds are intense, and the rest are like pretty passive. And yeah, so that's a little meditation. Again, just a little something to continue the remodeling of my joints and tendons, particularly in the fingertips and in the toes. Okay, when I do the more horizontal pull, I am pressing through my big toes. So my toes, I can already tell, are getting stronger from this, as well as my fingertips. Excuse me. Freaking allergies, man. I usually save my allergy medicine now until right before I go to bed, and I find that helps me sleep a little more deeply. And I'm on freaking like a knockoff Claritin right now, and that's got like a little bit of a hypnotic effect. You know what I mean? Sedates me a little bit. So that's been pretty good for improving my quality of sleep and the quality of my breathing at night. But until then, I kind of suffer. You know what I mean? Pretty much after like 6 p.m., I start like freaking coughing and stuff. But it's worth it for the better sleep for sure. Early this year, I feel like I was getting maybe 6 hours of sleep on a good night. Now I'm getting freaking 7 to 9 pretty consistently. And it's definitely making a huge difference in everything. So notice too that I also twist in, I kind of twist my torso toward the arm, which is in contact with the hangboard. And I think I've got one more rep on this one. This one has 14, 12, and 10 millimeter holds. I've got 3 of these. The next one has 8, 6, and 4. And the final one I just do 2 hangs on. I have pieces of a ruler screwed in and glued on there. I think it's some like 1.5 millimeters, and I kind of just pinch with freaking 2x4. But yeah, man, this is what I've been doing. At least I took I think like 2 rest days in the past month from this exercise, but other than that, I've done this at least once a day. I'd say probably half the time, maybe 2/3 of the time. I've done it twice per day, like once in the morning and once in the evening. And I gotta say, my fingers feel pretty freaking healthy. Yeah, like they feel stronger. My toes feel stronger. My core strength feels better. My overall use of body tension when I'm climbing feels better. Feels like more, efficient. Like my mind-muscle connection is like really improved. And that's another point of these exercises. It's a very multifaceted thing I've kind of created here for myself. And I've been messing around with this kind of low to moderate intensity, frequent exercise as supplemental training to my climbing for years now, probably 2.5 years now, something like that. And this is kind of the form of it right now. It seems to be really helpful for my nervous system, and all the parasympathetic breathing just totally resets me every set and just kind of, relaxes me. Despite, the good amount of tension I'm producing at the end of each set, I can just relax immediately. And by the time I'm like done with this workout, I'm like feeling good, feeling euphoric, feeling relaxed. It's definitely a good, important part of like my wind down before bed nowadays. It's very meditative. Again, it's also getting me stronger and getting me more resilient in general, and just really, really increasing again my mind-muscle connection, my proprioception, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, man, that's pretty much it. It's a long ass video, but I figured I'd go ahead and share the whole thing. Just do a bit of a voiceover, so it's not incredibly boring. I don't listen. I used to, maybe play a podcast or listen to music while I did this, but lately I find it a lot more useful, especially as a form of meditation, to just, just have nothing, nothing going on. I might get distracted by my dogs or my wife or some noise outside sometimes, but this is kind of just like my me time, my time to kind of zone out and freaking zone in, Oh yeah, look at the freaking tension, dude. Look at the forearm tendons protruding. And I swear, I had some trouble. I think I had like a finger injury. It was not even, from climbing on my left hand, probably 3 years ago now. I just like, I got my finger slammed into the freaking car door like a dumbass. And then also somewhat recently, I think about 2 weeks ago now, I think? Maybe 3 weeks ago now. I did some wrestling and I got that same freaking same freaking hand crushed by a guy who was a little too rough sparring me. But yeah, with this kind of exercise, I healed extremely quickly. Um, and I was having trouble, I noticed my climbing with connecting just everything in the freaking posterior chain on my left side. Like, I feel like my lat connection was especially just lackluster, just freaking deficient. And I've noticed lately, especially adding to kind of twisting in and making sure I'm really, retracting and depressing my scapula on that side, I find that I'm starting to get a lot stronger with my left arm pulling as I'm climbing, especially with like my lock offs and stuff. Like I can actually hold for the first time a pretty decent lock off my left arm, like even on pretty small holds. So that's definitely an improvement, and that's pretty cool to see because it's pretty easy exercise, guys. It's not like I'm trying that hard. I mean, there might be like again a couple of seconds of high intensity work each set, at the top of the freaking set. But yeah, for the most part, it's a very relaxing, therapeutic session. For this, I did some of the bean bucket hand motions for warm up. I did not film that. That only takes a couple of minutes. So all in all, it's roughly a half an hour workout. Again, that I'll do once or twice a day. So it's like an hour a day. Sometimes half an hour a day. But I'd say I'd average probably 5 hours at least of just direct like finger work and freaking isometric kind of full body isometric strength relative to bouldering to climbing. So quite a bit of volume, and at the end of the day, guys, volume matters a lot more than intensity, I think. And let's say, I've got, what do I do here? I think I do 3, 6, 9. Yeah, I think I do 9 sets of this. And let's say the last, 2 seconds of each set are intense. That's freaking 18 seconds. I'll just round up and say 20 seconds of intense effort. Okay, multiply that by freaking 5. That's freaking a minute and 40 seconds. Is that right? I suck at math, but anyway, it ends up being a pretty decent amount of like high intensity volume too. I mean, think about this, guys. If I was doing a more, high impact, like loaded workout, here I'm keeping my feet on the ground, so there's practically no load at all other than what I'm, creating in my body. So it's like my tendons aren't really taking any damage. You know what I mean? But imagine if like I used to do, like if I have 1 or 2, intense workouts a week, that'd probably end up being about the same. Look at that. You can tell I'm actually putting force through there by the freaking marks of my fingers. What I'm trying to say is, guys, I could do 1 or 2, I don't know, weighted hangs or weighted pull-ups on these holds per week and feel beat up, or I could do this and feel healthy and get pretty much the same amount of intense volume. Yeah, I just find this a lot more productive, especially since I'm aging. Every now and then I don't sleep well. I do have a sleep disorder. So with narcolepsy, sometimes my my sleep is not that great in terms of quality. You know, I kind of miss out on a few stages of sleep, you know. So my recovery is not as good as most people. And I find this not only strengthens me, it recovers me. Okay, it's active recovery, it's therapy. There's a lot of good shit going on here, guys. It's kind of like yoga. If I could, you know, try to compare it to anything, I guess ordinary that people could like understand. I think this is like my version of yoga for climbing. You know, get a little stretch, get a little isometric hold. You know, get a little breathing, get a little meditation. This is essentially my yoga for climbing. Look at that lat connection, dude. There's the pinch. I'm going right back to the breathing. Look how huge my diaphragm is, dude. Who works out their diaphragm, dude? You know? It's pretty important. If you want to breathe well, you got to practice breathing, you know? But why do we work out all these major muscle groups in our body? And then we neglect our freaking diaphragm, you know? Our breathing muscles. It's pretty fucking important, guys. You know what I mean? What are you gonna do if you can't breathe? You're dead, right? So, pretty important shit. Now, after the pinch, I'm gonna break out the 14 millimeter hangboard again, because I like to feel how huge it feels. You know, after pulling from a freaking ruler, for instance, something nearly a tenth of the size of this. Always give it a little brush, re-chalk a little bit for good friction. And on this one, I do try just a tiny bit harder because I know my nervous system is ready for it, you know. And again, it feels like a freaking giant hold after hanging from a ruler. So nice little stretch, getting passive, then boom, pulling up. Look at that. I feel like I'm getting pretty close to just being able to one arm 14 millimeters soon. And by soon I mean, you know, maybe within a year, but you know, that's that is 1 year is soon for a middle-aged man. You know, time is relative. I do feel like I'm probably lifting at least 75% of my body weight doing these, and it's not even max effort. I could probably pull even harder. Eventually, I'll probably let my ego get the best of me and just try the freaking hang without any, you know, toes touching the ground. So I'm feeling pretty damn strong from this shit, man. And also, I'm just getting better at like the position. You know, a lot of it, again, back to just the benefit of volume in daily practice. Like you do something so often, you just get more and more efficient at it. It's part of getting stronger. Everything's kind of a skill. You know, strength is a skill. Strength is specific to what you're doing. So, you know, if I continue to do this for months and months and months, I think I'll just be able to hold this position no matter what, you know, possibly even with additional weight added to me, you know. But we'll see. I don't care to test that anytime soon because that's not really the point of this exercise. Now after this, I've found that a little bit of radial and ulnar deviation can make my elbows feel good, because sometimes if I do this kind of work too frequently, I get a little bit of tightness and discomfort in my biceps tendons and also my triceps tendons. So here, working on the isometric radial deviation. I find that can feel very nice and therapeutic on that biceps tendon. And then, I'll do either arm, and just kind of, you'll notice, let me see if I can see this. I was trying to kind of show this off the different angles, but there's a certain position that I try to get to where my biceps are kind of like pointed forward. There it is. And that's when the freaking brachialis and all that is really opening up under load and working hard and stretching too. Anyway, I'll go back to the parasympathetic breathing here in a second. Oh no, I go to this one first, that's right. So we're going to go into the ulnar deviation now, same thing. You'll kind of see that external rotation here too. And this starts really lighting up the triceps, I find. Like if you hold this for a while, it's kind of like terminal extension of the elbow. So the triceps get kind of like an overcoming isometric contraction. It feels similar to like an L-sit position almost. Like it starts kind of cramping up. And I wanted to show this from behind too. You can see like the triceps are just really contracted, and so is that shoulder position too. I wanted to kind of show off positioning here. It's very important with isometrics. You want to get in a nice ergonomic position, kind of teach your body good mechanics and whatnot. Anyway, get right back to the breathing. Showing it from the front this time. But yeah, I'm gonna do one more, I guess 2 more exercises with the hammer, and that'll be supination and pronation. I think I do pronation first, and then I do supination. And this is again just to kind of stretch, but also I kind of practice like an overcrush here and really just squeeze the fuck out of the hammer, which can be nice because if you only practice an open hand position, I find that you might actually lose strength in a closed hand position. So yeah, very weird that you can be stronger holding 20 millimeters or something than a full grip. But again, if you don't practice it, then you don't freaking get better in that specific position. Again, guys, strength is specific, and I like this one on this little plyo box. I'm really shoving my elbow into my stomach here. Again, it's all about just connecting the entire body, getting like a good ergonomic position, practicing irradiation and body tension, and getting a nice, good stretch in the wrist. And you may have noticed I stop at the most difficult part where it's parallel to the ground, and I just kind of overcrush here for a bit. And then I'll slowly go into that loaded stretch. And this feels really good on the elbows and shoulders, especially in this position with the arm inside the body. I find is very therapeutic. A little breathing here. I probably should. I think I forgot to breathe between the radial and ulnar exercises, but I guess I don't know. Was in a rush or something. But yeah, man. We are almost done. Now we're getting to supination. Same shit. You'll notice I'm not really going too hard on this. Like my hand is not very far from the freaking head of the hammer. Because again, this is not, meant to be like a max strength session. It's really just about therapy, I guess. Though I think I do get a little bit of strength gains out of this, especially with the isometric holds. Something about isometrics, guys, will get you strong as shit. I don't know. It's hard to explain. It's really just pure nervous system strength. It's the same thing, holding it at the peak and then slowly letting it stretch down. I got one more thing to do. I've done a lot of flexion of the fingers, so I'm going to do one expansion or extension of the fingers exercise. And this is also purely isometric. I use a little expand hand band, but I don't put my thumb in because that feels very uncomfortable. I get like a weird clicking pain when I put my thumb in these bands, so I just put my 4 fingers in. I do extend my thumb anyway and kind of, stretch it as far as I can under tension, kind of like a, overcoming isometric, fighting to open a range of motion as wide as I can, Oh, and by the way, I didn't explain this marching thing I do, so I found if I do this without those kind of knee raises, then my glutes and my hips in general get very tight. Okay, because I'm bridging so much, and I'm like contracting my glutes so much, I kind of have to like do something to stretch them. So I started doing these high knees, and it helps a ton to loosen up the glutes, because I was getting a little bit of piriformis syndrome even from just doing these isometric exercises, because my glutes were just constantly in a contracted position. So there's one arm, expanding the hand, here's the other one. And pretty much everything I'm doing with kind of a concentrated inhale and exhale. Inhale deeply here, then I'll exhale deeply as well. As you can see there from the freaking abdomen contracting and the hand shaking, trying hard. Boom, and that's pretty much it, guys. Do one last deep 3D breath, and then I'll do a little shake off to kind of release any other tension in my body. And then I'll go eat a small bowl of cereal with some protein powder and cinnamon. I'll have like half a bowl of Cheerios with cinnamon, protein powder, with collagen powder, and soy milk because I'm lactose intolerant. Here's my little shake-off routine. Just getting rid of any tension remaining in my body. That's about it, guys. Just wanted to go ahead and share that. This is kind of the routine I've been doing for the past month. Alright, take care. Have a good one. Peace out.